Imagine you're told that nothing you do, no amount of charity, prayer, or moral living can earn you a place in heaven. Your fate was decided before you were born. This idea, articulated 1600 years ago by a bishop in North Africa, shaped the largest institution in Western history, sparked the Protestant Reformation, and still echoes in debates about human nature today. The question Augustine forced us to ask, are humans perfectible or are we fundamentally broken? The answer you give determines everything. Whether churches should be small communities of the righteous or vast missionary institutions, whether criminals can be rehabilitated, whether education can transform society. To understand how one man's theology conquered the Western world, we need to start with Augustine himself and the journey that led him to radical conclusions about human nature. Augustine didn't retire to philosophical leisure after his famous conversion. He became a bishop, fought heresies, and died in 430 CE, defending the city of Hippo from Vandal invaders. His life spanned the collapse of Roman civilization. In his Confessions, Augustine tells a strange story. As a teenager, he stole pears from a neighbor's orchard, not because he was hungry, but for the sheer pleasure of doing wrong. He threw most of them to pigs. This wasn't rational self-interest. This was sin as something deeper, a perverse delight in transgression itself. By the time Augustine wrote City of God, as Rome literally fell around him, he'd reached a stark conclusion. Humans are irrevocably sinful. If judged on merit alone, all will be damned. But Augustine faced a problem. Christians believe some people are saved. If everyone deserves damnation, but some escape it, salvation cannot be earned. It must be a gift. This is grace, unearned divine favor. By definition, you don't arrive at heaven with a ticket you purchased. You receive what you never deserved. And here's where Augustine's logic turns radical. If salvation is pure gift, then God must have decided who receives it, not based on foreseen merit. That would make it earned again. God knew before your birth whether you'd be saved or damned. This is predestination. Now comes the fork that split Christianity in two. The question, can we identify who is saved? One answer, yes, we can see the elect. They're the visibly righteous people whose lives demonstrate holiness. This produces small, tight-knit communities. Puritan New England operated this way. The Amish still do. Strict membership requirements, clear boundaries. If you're outside, you're probably doomed. The other answer, no, we have no idea who is saved. The elect are invisible. Only God knows. This sounds like a minor theological distinction. It's not. It's the difference between a sect and a world religion. Because if we can't identify the saved, everything changes about how the church should operate. Think about the invisible elect view carefully. If we can't know who God has chosen, then anyone might be among the saved. That peasant, that barbarian, that infant, any of them could be elect. The implications are revolutionary. Forced conversion becomes justifiable. Even unwilling converts might have believing children or grandchildren who are elect. Infant baptism makes sense. Baptism begins a process. It doesn't certify achieved perfection. And missionary expansion becomes imperative. Convert everyone everywhere. You might be saving the elect without knowing it. And this is how you build a universal church, not a small community of the obviously righteous, but a vast institution that brings everyone in because anyone might be chosen. The medieval Catholic Church emerged from this logic: political body, doctrinal structure, missionary force, all unified by a theology that demanded expansion. The Roman Empire fell, the church didn't. Augustine's ideas gave it a mission that transcended any political structure. This explains something puzzling about Christian history. Why did Catholicism become global while other early Christian movements remained local? The Donatists, the Montanists, various perfectionist sects, they stayed small because their theology required smallness. Augustine's invisible elect doctrine required bigness. The institution matched the theology. The perfectionism debate never dies. It keeps returning because it touches something fundamental about human nature. The optimist position: humans can be improved. Education transforms people. Good institutions shape better citizens. Progress is possible. Give people the right environment, the right assistance, and they'll flourish. The Augustinian position: human nature is fixed. External help has limits. You can manage sin, contain it, work around it, but you can't eliminate it. The flaw runs too deep. This isn't just theology. It underlies debates about criminal justice, rehabilitation versus punishment, education policy. Can schools transform outcomes, social reform? Do programs change people or just circumstances? Augustine's ideas didn't stay buried in medieval theology, they kept resurfacing. Martin Luther, an Augustinian monk, sparked the Reformation by rediscovering Paul, but he read Paul through Augustine's eyes. Grace alone, faith alone, human works contribute nothing to salvation. John Calvin systematized predestination into the heart of Reformed theology. The Puritans carried it to New England. The Great Awakening in the 1730s and 1740s revived Augustinian themes. Methodist revivals followed. Modern fundamentalism and evangelicalism continued the cycle. Every few generations, Western Christianity returns to Augustine's questions. The answers vary. The questions persist. One common misunderstanding: predestination means nothing we do matters. Augustine didn't teach moral indifference. The elect will naturally show fruits of grace, good works, moral living, faith. The point is that these fruits don't cause salvation. They evidence it. Behavior matters as a sign, not as a transaction. Another misunderstanding: the medieval church was just about power and control. Power dynamics existed, certainly. But the universal mission had genuine theological grounding. Augustine's invisible elect doctrine provided a coherent reason for bringing everyone into the church. It wasn't purely cynical. People believed it. When you encounter debates about human perfectibility in religion, politics, education, you're seeing Augustine's shadow. The visible versus invisible elect distinction explains why some religious communities are insular and others are expansionist. The same logic applies to secular institutions. Are humans fundamentally improvable? Your answer shapes your politics, your approach to education, your views on criminal justice, your expectations for social programs. Augustine didn't invent the question, but he gave it a framework that Western civilization has used for 16 centuries. Augustine died as Vandals besieged his city. The Roman world he knew was ending. But his ideas outlasted the empire, outlasted the medieval order, outlasted the Reformation that claimed to rediscover them. Whether you agree with Augustine or not, you're living in a world his ideas built. The question he posed remains open. Are we perfectible or are we broken?